Again, good afternoon, everyone. So, Long Pi plan to give you 3 lectures before we finish the program. The last time we talked about what is the Buddha, the concept of the Buddha, who he was, what did he achieve, and when we think of him, what exactly that you think of the Buddha. Because we never seen the Buddha, we cannot reflect on his face, his looking. But what exactly that Buddhist people reflect on the word Buddha? That's the last session. And today we're going to talk about what is the Dhamma, which is many people misunderstanding what it means by the Dhamma, what it means by practice Dhamma. And next one would be what is the Sangha. These are the 3, we call the 3 jewels or the triple gems in the minds of Buddhists. People around the world, they pay respect to these 3 things, and this is called the 3 refuge. We seek refuge to the Buddha, seek refuge to the Dhamma, and we seek refuge to the Sangha. Now you are part of the triple gem already, you become a Sangha. Even though we are conventionally Sangha, it's not a noble Sangha. Okay? Noble Sangha means the monk who at least achieved the Sodapatthana or the first level of enlightenment, the stream entry. But for us, we are conventional. People call us monks, okay, but we don't have any quality. I'm talking about the spiritual quality to be called as a noble Sangha yet. So today let's get to know what is meant by the Dhamma. What do you think? What it means by the Dhamma? Yes?
The teaching and understanding of the road or way to Nibbana.
The teaching of the Buddha.
Teaching of the Buddha, yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Anything else? Dhamma is the teaching of the Buddha, okay? Okay, it's very broad, right? Many things mean the Dhamma. Dhamma is a big word. Today I want you guys to be clear. When you hear the word Dhamma, what exactly that we should be looking for? What is the indicator telling us that we practice Dhamma correctly? How can we check we know Dhamma or not? How we know how far we have gone on this track, this the spiritual journey? And we have to have some framework to see where we are at in this spiritual journey of practicing the Dhamma. Teaching of the Buddha. What about teaching of Ananda, teaching of Sariputta, teaching of those Arahants in the past? Are they considered Dhamma or just the teaching of the Buddha? What about my teaching? Is it the Dhamma or is Luang Pi Narongchai teaching? There must be a framework, there must be an indicator telling you that this is the Dhamma. Whoever said it, even your dad can say the Dhamma. People from non-Buddhists can teach the Dhamma too. What about wholesome behavior? Is this considered practicing Dhamma? Observe precept. It's one way. Dhamma is something wholesome, something good. If someone practices life in a wholesome way, that person practices the Dhamma. Even though they may not know the teaching of the Buddha, but they become a good person, that person still considered practicing the Dhamma. The Buddha did explain what he means by the true Dhamma. So let's get to see it. So Dhamma basically is the universal truth. It's the truth of nature. The Buddha discovered it. He did not create the Dhamma. He explained clearly whether he exists or not. This thing always here. Universal truth means what? It's not only truth to every being. It's truth in the past, it is true now, and it will be true in the future. It's unchangeable truth. We can call it ultimate truth. Truth in Buddhism means ultimate truth. But truth in scientific world is not ultimate truth. That truth can be changed. It depends on the evidence that they can find. Now people said, oh, okay, if you take this vaccine, you'll be safe from COVID-19. Is this the truth? Truth by now, by this scientific, this is how far human beings, have come in terms of knowledge of vaccine. It's true, but 5 years from now, they may discover that they were wrong because there's a lot of side effects. People may get cancer, people may have a lot of disease coming out after 5 years from now. And then, is this the truth? We don't know. This is the truth in scientific. Even one person can say that, I find one evidence to reject your claim, and that truth is gone. It's not truth no more. But it's opposite to the truth of the Buddha when he said, Truth means universal truth. It's unchangeable truth. It's truth in the past. It's truth at now, at the moment. It will be true in the future moment. It's unchangeable truth. And then this picture, you guys have to be clear when we're talking about truth in Buddhism. Don't compare to the truth in the scientific world. And this is what he said. Whether realized one means the Buddha, whether he arises or not, this law of nature, you see, the law of nature refer to the Dhamma. It persists. This regularity of natural principle, this is another term he used, the law of nature or the regularity of the nature. This invariance of nature principle, this is another term, come back to the nature again. It's a specific conditionality. A realized one or the Buddha understand this and comprehend it. He explain, he teach, he assert, he establish, he clarify, he analyze and review it. Take this paragraph into your consideration. The Buddha explained clearly that he did not create the Dhamma. He discovered it, he explained, he teach, he revealed it to us that this law always there, whether he exists or not. The Dhamma is always here, but we just don't realize it. We don't have enough wisdom to realize it. Realize what? Realize the true nature of things, realize this law of nature, realize this universal truth. We think that having more money, having more house, having more car, we will be happy, and we think this is the truth. So we go after it. At the end of the day, we end up suffering because it's not the true nature of thing to have more things that you can be happy. It's opposite. It's about craving. You go after one thing at a time. Here is another teaching. We actually gone through this, but let me pinpoint and got you thinking a little bit deeper. I consider this Dhamma. This is the day that he achieved enlightenment, that I have attained. So he has realized to this truth, this universal truth. This thing is very profound. It's hard to see and hard to understand. It's very peaceful, sublime, unattainable by reasoning. You cannot just think of the Dhamma. It's subtle, to be experienced by the wise person only. These people mean ordinary people like us. On the other hand, is given to desire. We have desire or craving in our mind. We intend upon desire, delight upon desire. For these people, for all of us, ordinary human beings who are attached to this desire, delight in this attachment. The attachment is another name of desire. All of this is hard for them to understand. What is all of this? The Buddha points to two things: the law of dependent origination and the law of causality. It will be a matter of difficulty for people like us to understand. Why? Because we are asleep. We have craving in our mind. We have tanha, we have avijja, which is distort our perception to what we see, we hear, we smell, we taste, we touch. And now the Buddha realized that he wake up. That's why we call him awakened one. He awake to the true nature of human mind. And that is the Dhamma. And it is hard to see this truth, namely the stilling of all formation, the relinquishing of all acquisition, and the destruction of craving, the dispassion, cessation, and Nibbana. All of this, again, is another term that he tried to explain what exactly that he realized. So all of this come back to this word, the Dhamma. Well, okay, it's still big, but at least we start seeing some picture, start seeing some term to understand the word Dhamma means. And last time Luang Pi mentioned this teaching: the one who see the Dhamma see me, and the one who see me see the Dhamma. Okay, here again the Dhamma word show up here by the Buddha. That means when you see the Dhamma, you see the Buddha. When you see the Buddha, you see the Dhamma. And we try to figure out what exactly that the Buddha point to. That means when we see that thing, we see him too. When we see him, he point to that thing, which is the Dhamma. And in another teaching, the Buddha said to another monk, when one see dependent origination or paticca samuppabbada, that person see the Dhamma. And when that person see the Dhamma, he see dependent origination. And where is independent origination appear for the first time, which is here on the first teaching. It's right here. Paticca Samuppabbada. This is what the Buddha realized. So he wake up to the truth, wake up to the true nature of existence, wake up to the avijja or ignorance, how avijja gives rise to suffering and how suffering come about to this world. That's the essence of his discovery. And this whole process is called the Dhamma. That's one way of looking at it. And in here, the Buddha already gives some definition of the Dhamma, some characteristic of the Dhamma as well. But I will summarize to you at the end, just 1 second. Okay, here's another word, Dhamma, that appear in this particular teaching. It's in your white book. The Buddha addressed the monk, "Monk, I free from all snare," which means the trap of the Mara. Both of these deva and those men, and you monks, you are free from snare as well. This teaching the Buddha gave to the 60 arahants before he sent them out to teach the world. So he reflected that, you know what, I am free from the snare, I wake up to the truth. You guys also free from the snare of the Mara. You wake up from the truth, you are able to achieve enlightenment as well by following my teaching. Walk, he tells the monk to walk, you go on tour for the blessing of many folks, for the happiness for many folks, for out of compassion for the world, for the welfare, blessing and happiness of beings. Beings mean both deva and men. Let not two of you go the same way. See, the Buddha give in clear instruction. Two of you cannot go to the same way. That means you have to go separately. And monks, you teach the Dhamma. You go to do what? To teach the Dhamma, which is lovely at the beginning, lovely in the middle, lovely at the ending of your teaching. This is the characteristic of the Dhamma. Explain with the spirit and the letter of Brahma faring completely fulfilled, Brahma faring to the path to Nibbana. And there are beings with little dust, their eyes, they have little dust in their eyes, who not hearing the Dhamma before, are decaying. But if they learn the Dhamma, they will grow. And I mean the Buddha, monks, I will go along to Uluvela. Uluvela is another town, to the camp of township in order to teach the Dhamma as well. Okay, so this teaching, basically the Buddha gave like the words of wisdom, and before the monks start their journey of teaching, they gather together and the Buddha give this teaching to those monks. You know what, I myself have realized, enlightenment, awake to the truth, the true nature. Now we are free from the bondage of the Mara. You guys as well, you guys are Arahant. By come to my teaching, learn from me. Now you understand how to purify your mind. You have that body of knowledge. And now it's time for both myself and you guys to go share this knowledge to the world. This is the first group of the Dhamma teacher that's sent out throughout India after the first rain retreat of the Buddha himself. And he said, go there to do what? Go there to teach the Dhamma. Why we have to teach the Dhamma? Because there will be people who would be who would be able to understand the teaching, and who would able to wake up to this true nature of reality as well. So for the sake of happiness of many people, out of your compassion, you should go there and teach them. Otherwise, people will live life without knowing that they have avijja, they have ignorance, they have craving in their mind. So go there and teach them and let them know about the Dhamma. And when you teach, this is the character of the Dhamma. When you teach and when people listen to the Dhamma, when people get to know the Dhamma, it's lovely at the beginning, lovely in the middle, and lovely at the end. Some characteristic of the Dhamma. So keep this information first. If you don't go out there and if you don't teach them, their life will not be able to find the true happiness, will not be able to understand the nature of the reality or wake up to the universal truth. All of them, they spread out. They don't go to the same direction. Each one of them, including the Buddha, the Buddha go to another town called Uruvela. And those 60 monks, they also went different direction to do the same thing as the Buddha, advised to go teach people about the Dhamma. And in here, this is one of the most famous sutra in the West. People in the West know Kalama Sutta. This is how the Buddha teach the Dhamma, how the Buddha give them an idea what is the Dhamma. Because in this town, in Kesaputta town, is the town where many spiritual seekers go there, and they will stay in this town first before they enter the forest behind that town. They stay there, practice the Dhamma 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and then they come out. Before they go to another town, they have to stay in this town first. It's called Kesaputta. So Kalama people are the people who live there. They happen to be a very smart people, very ethical people. And they get confused because every time people come out from the wood, they share the knowledge to the villager. You know what? This is the real Dhamma. This is the true Dhamma. You should believe me. Whatever you learn is not true. And then the newcomer come, wherever they learn from, before they got there, they have some knowledge. And they share what they learn to this villager. You know what? This is what I have learned. This is the true Dhamma. Then they go to the wood, they found another new knowledge. They come out again, go to another path again. They share what they have learned. This is the place where people come and stop by before they go to another place. And then they share the Dhamma. So people talk about the Dhamma in this village a lot. So if you get to this sutra, you get to the Kalama people. In this place, the Buddha teach many advanced teaching because these people are very smart people. So in one particular evening, they get together, they know that the Buddha is coming and they seek for the Buddha advice. The Buddha, I am so confused. I don't know which teaching is true, which one is the true Dhamma. One teacher claimed his teaching is the true, and another teacher said, well, you know what, my teaching is truth, the rest is not true. So they get confused. So the Buddha actually, give out of his compassion, he gave the teaching of how to reflect on the Dhamma. So in summary, the Buddha said, this thing in whatever you learn, anything, the Dhamma that you learn, they are skillful, blameless, praised by the wise people. And when you undertake them, when you undertake the Dhamma, they lead to the welfare and happiness, not opposite. For example, people may teach you about, you know what, you don't need to observe precept. It doesn't benefit you anything. That can be one Dhamma that you learn. And if you learn that, the Buddha said, you know what, why don't you practice the precept? If it's skillful, it takes you to the welfare of happiness. If you're observing precept, you know whether precept is good or bad. You know whether that Dhamma is good or bad. When you observe precept, comparing you not observing precept. When you kill, you lie, sexual misconduct, do you meditate better? Or if you stop doing that, do you meditate better? What is the quality of your mind before and after observing precept? And after that, you make decision. You know this is the Dhamma. If it leads to the welfare and your own happiness, and it's blameless, it's skillful, when you look back, you don't feel regret. You're happy, your mind is free from worry, free from hindrances, and it prepares you for the higher Dhamma or the higher ethical level when you start observing precept. So this is just one example. If someone says meditation is not good, you should torture yourself or overindulge in sense pleasure. There is no such thing called the middle way. Why don't you just enjoy life? It's only one life to live, and then you will be achieved or realized, to the true nature later on. Enjoy it. And some teachers said, no, this is wrong path. You must torture yourself. And when you torture yourself long enough, some super being will give you sympathy, and then you will be awake to the truth. You will have the spiritual liberation experience. Which one is the truth? So Kalama people get confused. The Buddha did not say this is bad, this is good. He gave the idea so they can reflect on themselves. This is the very skillful teacher. Why don't you put into practice? If you torture yourself, that practice, does it lead you to happiness, peace of mind, or what's the benefit of you doing that? You know by yourself whether that Dhamma is skillful or not, is blameless or not, it's praised by wise people or not, or it's opposite. This is a framework that the Buddha gave to Kalama people. I really enjoyed it, this sutra very much. The Buddha happened to be very great teacher when he give the teaching to each particular group of students. And as I mentioned earlier, at this place, he gave the advanced Dhamma. Many advanced Dhamma come from this village. These people they were a very smart group of people. So you should find time to get back to this sutra. So now I'm going to take you to each characteristic of the Dhamma. from the sutta that we just read together since the beginning. So there are some things that you can take with, something that you can use as a framework when we're talking about Dhamma, to reflect on your own practice and then to reflect on someone claim themselves they practice the Dhamma as well. First characteristic is Dhamma is good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end. When someone don't know the Dhamma before from their whole life, when they start to know the Dhamma, when they get to know the right teaching or the true Dhamma, their life will be better right at the beginning. Get back to the same example. What about precept or Sila? If a man come from the world, don't know anything about Sila, kill, lie, sexual misconduct, all of a sudden he comes to the true teaching, he listens to someone teach about precept. Don't have to be the Buddha. His life at that moment, at the beginning, when he comes to the teaching of the Sila, his life will be better right away. It's open up his view to the right view, from the wrong view to the right view. And the right view is the starting point of peace and happiness for all of us. Without having the right view, we cannot find true peace and happiness for the rest of our life. So when someone come to the teaching of Sila for the first time, he opened him up to the right view path. And then he go from there. He start to understand, okay, killing is not good, everyone love their life, why should I kill people, why should I kill even animal? Okay, sexual misconduct, stealing is not good. So he start open up himself to this knowledge. So his mind becomes soft, his mind become more understandable about the true nature of things at the beginning. And as he take that teaching into practice, maybe 1 month, 3 months from now, this is in the middle, before he die, his life is on his way to be a better person, to be at peace, to be calm, to be free from worry, because he observed precept. And when he die, it's good at the end, when he die, and every single day he never break precept. From the beginning that he know the precept, he practiced for the rest of his life, and then he die. And after his body break up, he go to heaven, just because of the 5 precepts. This is the like an insurance that you can buy to be born again as a human being, according to the Buddha teaching. See, it's good at the beginning, good in between, and good at the end. You don't know anything about meditation, all of a sudden to come to sit for the first time, your life start to change right then. At the first time you sit, you start feeling peace, you start feeling something that you never felt before. When your mind have less worry, you may not free from worry 100%, but at least when the mind have less worry, you start feeling something inside yourself. It's a refined form of happiness that you never felt before. And as you continue sit 1 month, 3 months, 1 year, your mind is not going to be the same. Imagine if you sit until the day you die. It's beautiful and at the beginning, it's beautiful at the middle, and it's beautiful at the end too. At the death state, on your deathbed, if your mind calm, peace, free from worry, where would that mind go? Most likely it's go to the better place, right? Because the mind is conscious, the mind is calm, and the mind is fully concentrated. You have been preparing yourself for your whole life. See, this is one nature and one characteristic of the Dhamma. The second characteristic is it leads to reduction of greed, hatred, and delusion, okay, including ignorance. Basically, it's mental impurity. I really like this one. This is what I use a lot. It doesn't matter who say thing. If that thing got you thinking to reduce mental impurity in your mind, and that thing is the Dhamma. It doesn't matter who say it. Maybe your younger brother can say something that stop you from going out and drinking. That is the Dhamma. If something come to your understanding and distance you away from greed, hatred, and delusion, that is the Dhamma. When you're about to do something bad and your friend said, you know what, please don't do it. Take a deep breath, go meditate. This is the Dhamma. So anybody can talk the Dhamma, because the Dhamma is the true nature, the nature that leads us to find peace and happiness, that align us on this path. So it can be anyone. Don't have to be the Buddha. The Buddha is one man to teach the Dhamma. He see the Dhamma in the big picture. He wake up by himself and then he share with us of how to do that, how to understand the nature of things. So anything at all from now on that you hear, you understand, that take you away, further and further away from greed, hatred and delusion. That is the Dhamma. So the word Arahant means a person who are far away from all defilement. This is the word Arahant. Why they become Arahant? Because they have come to the teaching of the Buddha. They understand the Dhamma. They train themselves, they purify their mind, body, speech and mind are pure, then they achieve Arahant. Sila, Samadhi, Panya are fulfilled, they achieve Arahant. So they're far away from defilement, mental impurity whatsoever. There's nothing left in their mind. This is the meaning of the word Arahant. So anything, if someone asks, what is the teaching of the Buddha? This is it. The teaching that take you away from mental impurity. The teaching that disturb the way defilement work in your mind. If you're about to hurt someone and you reflect on loving kindness, you reflect on the law of karma, oh, there will be a bad consequences, and then you're mindful enough, and then you stop yourself from doing that. This is the Dhamma. It doesn't matter who teach you that killing is bad, loving kindness is good, forgiveness is good. It doesn't matter who teach you. This is the Dhamma. The next one, the Dhamma lead to the welfare and happiness for all, not just for yourself, for all, not just human being. It lead to the well-being of all beings, heavenly beings, life after death, the Brahma, you name it. Not only you are happy when you observe precept, when you meditate, people around you can feel your happiness. You bring peace and happiness. You bring security to wherever you go. Because you're not going to harm someone. You're not going to kill someone. You're not going to hurt someone verbally, physically. Because you, what? You practice the Dhamma. So that is why it leads to the welfare of the whole world. There will be no violence, no war exists if someone or everyone on the planet practice the Dhamma. It leads to the welfare of all of us, human and all the beings. This is another characteristic or the quality of the true Dhamma, not just for one individual. And the next one is skillful, blameless, praised by the wise, and it's harmless. Because it's universal truth, it's universal goodness, it's universal good teaching. So that means anybody can practice the Dhamma. It has nothing to against your belief or your religion. It's the teaching that lead you to be toward the peace, sustainable peace and happiness in your life. From day one that you come to that teaching, and from the day that you die. That's the beauty of the teaching that's the beauty of the Dhamma. It doesn't matter who teach it. The Buddha did not own the Dhamma. He did not create it. He realized it and then he shared with us. And in this teaching, the Buddha gave teaching to Bhikkhuni Gotami, which was his stepmother. This lady took care of him after his real mother dying. And she seek for ordination to be a bhikkhuni. Okay, at the beginning the Buddha was not support that idea. Well, anyway, later on he approved, but with a lot of rules. And when Bhikkhuni Gotami seek for his advice about practicing Dhamma, the Buddha gave this teaching to her, and at the end of this teaching, she realized arahantship. Her mind is free from defilement. This is a very unique and very powerful teaching, and the Buddha gives 8 characteristics of what it means by the Dhamma. This is the true Dhamma. You can use this as a framework to see if you are practicing the Dhamma or not. It doesn't matter how long you become a monk. It doesn't matter you are a monk or not. If you practice according to this 8 things, this is it. This is what the Buddha said. You are practicing the Dhamma, the true Dhamma. First, this quality of the true Dhamma lead to dispassion, not to passion. What it means by dispassion? Dispassion from what? Dispassion from sense desire. But you have to keep in mind that each teaching the Buddha gives to a specific group of students. In this case, the Buddha teaches to Bhikkhuni. Bhikkhuni is the person who ordained already. She observed more than 300 precepts, just like a Buddhist monk. So the goal of spiritual people to achieve enlightenment. So when the Buddha teaches, the Buddha points her directly to the fast track to achieve or to realize Nibbana. But as a layperson, if you listen to this teaching, you need to reflect, step back. How can I apply this to my lay life? Dispassion means you dispassion from the sense desire, from the sense pleasure, because now you are a bhikkhuni, you are a Buddhist monk. We stand opposite to the sense pleasure world. If you not this passion from the sense pleasure, you will not be realize the true Dhamma. It's impossible. Sense pleasure, it doesn't mean entertainment, doesn't mean only of the sexual activity. It's everything that we involve, the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the thing that we associate with, the medicine, the shelter, you name it. Because we live in the sense pleasure world. What we see, we like it or not. What we hear, we like it or not. What we smell, we taste, we eat, we touch, we like it or not. And whatever you like it, that's come from the craving mind. Something you need to kind of raise your awareness. Now I'm start to like this thing, or I'm start to dislike this thing. It's about mindfulness. It's about know that you're not involved, not indulge in the sense pleasure. So you dispassion. You away from the sense pleasure. You away from the defilement. And the second thing is detach, not bondage. From now on, anything that you involve, you must detach yourself. Detach. Again, to be specific, all of this is about detach or away from defilement. Detach yourself from defilement. Detach yourself from craving. Detach yourself from problem. Follow the precept. Keep the precept clean. The precept is the framework to help you to be more mindful. Then when you're mindful, you will know what to do and when to do better. You will be dispassionate about the sense pleasure. You will be detached from entertainment, detached from things that crowded your mind. And it dismantling, not accumulating. As you become a monk longer, you may start accumulating things, accumulating clothes, accumulating food, accumulating fame and credibilities. This is opposite what the Buddha teach. You should have less and less. You should have more and more contentment of simple life, not more and more item in your life. Modestly, this is come together. Modestly and contentment come together. Not too strong desire, contentment, not too discontent. This is the Dhamma. Do you feel content of the food that you receive every time you go arms round into the village? Whatever in front of you, whatever you receive from the lay people, do you really feel appreciated and content of what you have, of who you are? So these things, is an indicator telling you that whether you practice Dhamma correctly or not, whether it keeps you away from the defilement or it takes you closer to defilement. Seclusion, not to company. Again, seclusion, the deep meaning of seclusion is secluded from defilement. Seclusion from defilement. Anything that add more defilement, add more craving to yourself, you should seclude yourself from that. If you associate with people who talk a lot, talk about politics, talk about things that monk not supposed to talk about, you should seclude yourself from them. If this environment is not good, it's noisy, not conducive for meditation, then you should seclude yourself from that place. Go someplace else, stay by yourself, or separate from the thing that crowded your mind, that add more defilement into your mind. That's what they mean by seclusion. But if you already have good place, good people to hang out with, then this is the place, good place for you. But from time to time, the Buddha still said, it's good for you guys to find place for your own practice as well. And then come back to the group, strengthen the unity of the group, and find time to go back to your own practice as well. Come and learn something and put into practice. Come and learn something and go back, practice on your own. The next one is aroused persistence, not laziness. So people who have Dhamma, people who practice the Dhamma, they are not lazy people. They're disciplined, they know what to do, they know when to do, and they know how to do it. They will be very disciplined. They will not be lazy in terms of study the Dhamma, in terms of practice the Dhamma, in terms of practice meditation. That means that person have realized to the true Dhamma. And the last one, being unburdensome, not being burdensome. That means you easy to take care. When someone become a monk, do you still being choosy, still demand here and there? Wherever you go, you trouble your monk's friend, you trouble the lay people or not? If that person have this kind of characteristic or quality, that person, they don't practice the Dhamma at all. You cause people problem. You cause people, worry. You cause people agitated wherever you go. You don't follow the rule. You always demand. People said wake up at 5, you wake up at 6. You breakfast at 8, you show up at 9. Do the chore, you don't show up. So it's about make yourself easy to take care, make yourself to obey the rule and understand what's going on, and make sure you help to maintain the peace and happiness of the community that you belong wherever you go. Easy to support. So if you become a monk 10 years from now, you still become a person who cause problem. Oh, this monk come again, I don't want to stay with him. If that's your credibility, it doesn't matter how long you have been a monk. You don't practice the Dhamma at all. You still don't know how to fix, your bad habit. You still don't know how to deal with your craving, your choosy mind, your agitated mind, the way you say things, the way you do things, agitate people around you. And then you become a monk 10 years, 15 years without fixing that, without adjusting that. So to me, the longer you become a monk, the more of this quality you should develop. You should be more mindful person. You should be more understanding person. You should be more calm, more relaxed, more supportive to the young monk, to people who come after you, to people who come before you. That's the nature of the Dhamma. That's the nature of someone who practices the true Dhamma. You practice Dhamma for 10 years, but you still don't cultivate this kind of quality. What went wrong in your practice? Maybe you have to come back to the teaching of the Buddha and start over again. To Buddhism 101, what the Buddha teach, what the Buddha means by being a good monk. There are many sutras that the Buddha teach the monk how to be mindful, how to observe precept, how to practice the meditation, how to be a good monk basically. And these are the quality of the true Dhamma. So the Dhamma of the Buddha, one meaning of the Dhamma, like Christian said, is the teaching of the Buddha, which is correct. It's a collection of the teaching of the Buddha. Now the teaching of the Buddha is kept in the Tipitaka or the Pali canon. There are 3 baskets. It's called Tipitaka. Ti means 3, right? Pitaka means basket. The first basket is the Vinaya. It's kept all the rules and regulation for Buddhist monk and Buddhist nun, what to do, what we can do, what we cannot do, what we should do, what we should not do. So you may be familiar with 227 or 311 for bhikkhuni or nun. This is the rule kept in the first basket. And there are 8 books. See, many books, many of them. So the Vinaya that we follow, not just 200, we're talking about more than 10,000 rules that we live by. Because there are 8 books. The first 3 books, 200 precepts present in the first 3 books. What about the rest? The Buddha talk about something else. There are many rules that we may not aware that we abide by those rules because we never study. You see? And the second basket is the Sutta Pitaka. This is where it keeps the teaching of the Buddha. When he teach someone, he will come back and share the teaching with Ananda. Ananda would memorize it. For the 45 years of the Buddha teaching career, everything that the Buddha teach, Ananda is the person who memorized it. So he share it and he verified the teaching of the Buddha. After the Buddha passed away, they have the first meeting of the Sangha, 500 Arahant. They get together and they have Ananda to verify the Dhamma. And they have Upali, the monk who verified the Vinaya. Is this rule okay? They check with Upali. Upali said yes or no, and then they go from there. Is this teaching right? The Buddha teach that monk about this topic, and this is what he teach correctly, and then they check with Ananda. Ananda verify that, okay, this is what the Buddha said. So it kept here. So there are 25 books. This is called the Sutra, the book that you have, the thing that you learn, mostly from this basket. And the third basket is called Abhidhamma Pitaka. This is the advanced teaching of the Buddha. It's the detailed and systemic analysis of the teaching of the Buddha. There is no human being involved in this teaching. No place, no name mentioned. It talks about purely about the mind. Okay. It exists 200-300 years after the Buddha passed, but it's still considered the Tipitaka, which is kept the teaching of the Buddha. So, to me, whatever you can get from these 3 baskets is always benefit you. Make sure you have a chance to actually take a look from your own eye in each basket. The first basket is about the rules, may be boring, but that thing come from the Buddha time. A lot of things doesn't make sense nowadays, but that's what it kept. Okay, and the second basket to me, this fascinating basket. It talk about a lot of stuff. It talk about precept, talk about mindfulness, talk about non-self, talk about metaphysical question. In the Tikha Nikaya, the long discourse of the Buddha, very, very first teaching of the Buddha encountered a lot of metaphysical questions because people come and challenge him because he discovered something new that never exists in the spiritual market in the Buddha time. People come and ask him about the universe, about the non-self, about permanent self. So Buddha actually spent time with those people who don't have faith in him, and most of them, they are from non-Buddhist people. So that's kept in the pretty much in the very first long discourse of the Buddha. So if you start reading Tikha Nikaya first, you may run into a lot of metaphysical questions. So if I suggest you start from the middle length first, and the Anguttara Nikaya and Sangyutta Nikaya. That's much easier to read. It's not too long. It's like topic based. You can select to study about the 5 aggregates. You can select to study about the Mara, the Kamma, the meditation, the precept. So go from that's the sutra first. There are 5 Nikaya. 84 discourses, that's what it said. In 84,000 coming down to 3 things, which is Sila, Samadhi, Panya. That's all. And Panya or wisdom. This is the summarized to the 84,000 teaching. Can we summarize this thing to one sentence or one word? Universal truth. Okay. The practical way. How can we understand the teaching of the Buddha and put into practice right away? Just one word. Without knowing this 84,000 discourses. Purification of what? Okay, that's good. That's good. Or we can use the word purity. If your body, speech, and mind is pure, then you practice the Dhamma. Because someone who don't have a pure body, speech, and mind cannot realize Nibbana. That's the ultimate goal that the Buddha pinpoint. Whether you believe it or not, whether you practice it or not, one day that's the ultimate goal of all beings, to realize Nibbana and stop coming back to the realm of rebirth. And in order for you to get there, you must be perfectly pure. And when you know pure, what caused you to be impure, then you don't do it. Is drinking pure? Sexual misconduct pure? Or meditation pure? Loving kindness pure? So you reflect on this, under this purity framework, it keeps you aligned on the wholesome path until you realize Nibbana one day. And another thing is, 3 of this, in the last teaching of the Buddha, if you remember, the Buddha gave one sentence before he passed, right? Last teaching. That, make sure that all of these conditioned things will fall apart. Strive on with heedfulness. Don't be careless. If you don't careless, you stand opposite to what? To the careless, right? That means you are mindful, you are conscious, and when you are mindful and conscious, you tend to commit positive karma than the negative karma. So reflect on the last teaching of the Buddha deeper, then you may find the practical way for your own self to practice the Dhamma. So any questions so far? That's it for today. It's not long. So we get to know what is the Buddha. Okay? Buddha not just a man, exists 2,500 years ago. We don't know how he looked like. When we think of him, we cannot imagine how the Buddha looked like. But we can reflect on his spiritual quality, that the Buddha is perfect in wisdom, in purity, and in compassion. If someone can cultivate oneself up to that level, so we can be awakened as the Buddha himself as well. And then today we get to know the meaning of the Dhamma. Dhamma has many meanings. Okay? It can be the teaching of the Buddha, and again, Dhamma has its own quality. When you practice or someone practice the Dhamma, 8 of this is a good indicator. They are good indicator to telling you that you're on the right track when you said you are practicing the Dhamma. The reason you observe precept, because it's detached you from craving, right? You observe 8 precepts, it even detaches you further from sense desire, because 8 precepts is much more intensive than 5 precepts. There's no sexual activity, sleep on the thin bed, no entertainment, no perfume, This is the benefit of 8 precepts. It detaches you from sense desire. 227, it even detaches you further from the sense pressure world. This is called dispassion and detachment. And when you detach, you are not bonded to sense pleasure. When you away from sense pleasure, your mind come back. When your mind come back, where it go? It go deeper. Go to Nibbana one day. So detach bit by bit, day by day, week by week, one lifetime, after another lifetime. Eventually we get there. We realize the same truth as the Buddha realized. This is the true Dhamma.